In this episode of Detroit Performs, a chef creates sculpture out of food, a winery in the city, and exploring heritage through food. It's all ahead on this edition of Detroit Performs.
Funding for Detroit Performs is provided by the Fred A. and Barbara M. Erb Family Foundation, the Kresge Foundation, the A. Paul and Carol C. Scott Foundation, the Michigan Council for Arts and Cultural Affairs, the National Endowment for the Arts, and by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.
Hello and welcome to Detroit Performs. I'm your host, DJ Oliver, and today we're talking about the art of food and drink. And in this weather, where else could we be but a cider mill? We're at Franklin Cider Mill all show. Let's get to our first artist. Chef Genevieve Vang was a young refugee during the Vietnam War when her family fled to Thailand. Her strength through her childhood still shows in the work that she does as an entrepreneur and an executive chef at Bangkok 96 and Bangkok 96 Street Food. Take a look.
I'm still searching what I lost, but maybe the fact that you lost something, it makes you stronger, and you never stop. I was born in Laos, but my original is Hmong. Hmong people they came from China, border Mongolia and China. The Vietnam War, 1975, when the Khmer Rouge went to the country, then we have to leave the country. So I became refugee in Thailand, and I fled to Paris. Food is my passion. Well, food, you have to remember, food brings everybody together. Right now we are at Bangkok 96 Street Food in Detroit, and is located inside the Detroit Shipping Company. But I like to introduce Hmong food to the Metro Detroit area, which is my people here. Mostly the food I serve here is from my root. So you're gonna see how I take a beef and make edible. That's the beef jerky. We take the beef shoulder and break down the muscle to make it very tender, like filet mignon. And all the chicken breast is chicken breast. All chef cooked chicken. But my chicken breast is different. When my customer take a bite for the first time, they come back. The sausage is very popular back home. Homemade pork sausage is the fresh meat, all natural meat, the pork shoulder, ground with ginger, lemongrass, galangal, all the spice. And you just stuff it to the sausage. And you let dry. You let dry in the oven a couple hours. And you put in the freezer when you need it. You just deep fry or you put on a grill. The pad thai roll is interesting. When I came to this place, open Bangkok 96 Street Food, I have to decide to make one dish. And that's dedicate the pad thai roll to this place because it's a bar food, because the table is so long. So I have to take the pad thai wrap in the flour and a toaster cut like a sushi, a sprinkle sauce, and all the spice, peanut and garnish and a lime for this place because it's bar food. And the most item in the kitchen is the pad thai roll. It's become so popular and successful. I hope it's not just a trend. I hope it's gonna keep going. The dessert, I like to cook a lot of fruit. So today I do a poached pear with wine, lime, and make a syrup. And finish touch with, grated sugar. One by one fresh. But I start from a base very clean. That's easy for me to cook for the vegan customer. And when the meat come, I just add meat too. Everybody responds very nice. So I believe I do something good here because I take care of all the allergen people too. And I have a little bit everything for everybody. My dream is serving the food upscale but very original, authentic. Take that dish to the next level. When you customer eat the food, they eat with the eyes. And you can take a dish very simple, make beautiful, elegant, clean, and simple. So presentation is very important to me. And the food carving is draw people. I am in a retail business. Every time I went to the food show, and I always bring a couple pieces of the carving there. And it's draw the crowd to your table, and it's end up to sell your product. So it's beautiful. The color is so natural. It's very attractive. Food is art, and the carving is art. If you bring two together, it's very powerful. You got two things instead of just one thing. I'm still have fun. I still create a new dish. It's never end. It's so many things I have to do. It's just not enough time to do it. I think I'm gonna keep going until I can move. I was recognized to be a James Beard chef. The James Beard Foundation is a non-profit organization who recognize all the chefs did a great job for many years and a long-term career. So I was so happy and so honored to have that title this year. My goal is to think about the next generation. You have to share what you know to the young people to be entrepreneur and live in the United States. I'm still working hard, but I'm so proud to be here because I'm lucky. I was a refugee, nothing. And I live in the United States, have a small restaurant, and people love the food. And I be able to keep going to school or training and another journey to learn something new, another cuisine. So I think I'm lucky, to have the life I have here.
You can find out more about Genevieve Vang as well as all the artists that we feature on DetroitPerforms.org. Did you know that you can get delicious, locally made wines, meads, and hard cider right here in the heart of the city? Well, you can. Detroit Vineyards is taking Detroit back to its storied grape growing and winemaking roots, also while giving back to the community. Find out how now.
Our wines are kind of like the city. They're a little edgy, but they have some class and polish.
Establishing vineyards, making fine wine in Detroit. Some would say impossible. We're here to say that it's not.
There hasn't been a winery here in the city in 60 years. Detroit Vineyards was a project started in 2014, just based on the idea of the possibility of planting grapes in the city of Detroit and also having a fully functioning winery. Grapes were grown here in the late 1700s. And so really we're just bringing that tradition back. We're at 1000 Gratiot Avenue, just on the border of Eastern Market in Detroit. Our winery building was originally an ice cream factory. It was the old Stroh's ice cream factory. And so we've taken it over and turned it into a winery. We are definitely unique here. We're an urban winery. We're in the city of Detroit. Other wineries I've worked at, you walk outside and you see mountains and vineyards, and that's beautiful. But now we see this thriving metropolis, this awesome town that's on the Renaissance. So I think we're unlike anything else you'd see in the wine industry.
I never thought I would be able to work with traditional winemaking in the city limits or anywhere near Detroit. So I was very excited to join the team here and do traditional winemaking once again, and also bring some of the other skills that I have picked up along the way in the form of hard cider production and mead production.
Everything that we sell here is crushed, destemmed, fermented, racked, and bottled right here in the winery.
It all starts in the vineyard. The key to great wine is great raw materials. So as a winemaker, it is important to me to have a connection to the vineyard.
People have responded really well to planting vineyards in the city so far, especially because right now we've got vacant land and we're creating a situation where people can look out their window in the city of Detroit and see a vineyard. So it's pretty scenic for where we are. So we really are invested in the city of Detroit and we want to give back to the community. So when we plant vineyards, we are working with a nonprofit organization and we will use their land, plant vineyards on their land, and then we will buy the fruit that that land produces back from them at a premium. And so that money is going to go back into the community to continue the renaissance of the city.
The winemaking process starts with the intake of the grapes. They are removed from the stems. In the case of red wines, the red wines are fermented in contact with the skins. The white wines are pressed into juice, and then the fermentation process starts. In both cases of red and white wine, fermentation happens by a purposeful inoculation of yeast, which will then convert the sugars into alcohol. At that point, depending on the wine, treatment could be stainless steel aging, settling, clarification, stabilizing. Some wines will receive oak storage for up to 24 months, depending on the variety and type of wine that we're trying to produce.
One of the benefits of having a winery in the city is that you can go and have a great meal and then you can come here and taste our wines after.
Detroit Vineyards is not only a working winery, we are also a public hospitality space. In the public hospitality space, we offer wine tasting, which could be a flight, a glass of wine. I think more importantly, this is a place for people to gather, and also anybody who's interested in furthering their understanding of wine and the world of wine. Hopefully, people can walk away with a better understanding.
So here in the tasting room, we do a couple different kinds of flights. You could do 3 or 5 pours. In some cases, we will waive your flight fee with a purchase of a bottle. You can also sit, enjoy the space, and have a glass of wine, of cider, or mead. So there's plenty of ways that you can have fun here.
Customers respond very favorably to our wines. As a winemaker, the important thing for me is to make sure that our customers find something within our product family that is enjoyable to them. Ultimately, if the consumer enjoys the wine, it is good to them.
I think my favorite thing is that people are in awe of the fact that we're doing this at all, so people keep saying how cool it is.
Oftentimes people, when they think of wineries, wine countries, vineyards, they think of these bucolic sceneries in lovely areas. The things that makes me proud of the winemaking process in Detroit at Detroit Vineyards is all the things that lead up to successfully getting the raw materials so we can do the best possible job in our winery. And also, as a Michigan native, Detroit's the premier manufacturing city in the world. Being part of the legacy that Detroit has established in the world, and to have that contribution be fine wine is very rewarding to me.
I think a place like Detroit Vineyards is important to Detroit because we need to show the world that we can do stuff like this. That we're not, I think the story that's told of Detroit still away from Michigan is that it's very depressed here and we don't have things like good wines. And we want to highlight that that's not true, that we can do that here and we will.
All right, guys, I am down here where the donuts are being made, and I want to try one so bad, but I can't because they're too hot right now. But I'll have a dozen donuts waiting for me upstairs later. Now let's check out some upcoming events happening in and around the D. Inspired by his Colombian heritage, James Beard-nominated chef Jose Salazar opened up Mita's restaurant. The eclectic menu features modern and traditional dishes from Spain and Latin America, and also pays tribute to the food created by his grandmother. Take a look.
When you're here early, there isn't all the commotion. You have a chance to gather your thoughts. Most of the time, a dish is born based on an ingredient. You have a foundation, maybe it's a type of fish that the fishmonger called up and said that they have, and you start to think, okay, so what's the texture of the fish? What's the flavor of the fish? I sort of just use my memory, my palate, what I remember something tasting like, or the texture of something, and let that sort of guide me. If you overthink it and you make it too scientific, you lose some of the soul, and that's, at its heart, what cooking's all about. It's soulful. It's meant to be from the heart. Mita's is really a Latin American Spanish restaurant focused around tapas or small plates. It was a way for me to tap into my South American ethnicity. This restaurant it's named after my grandmother. We called her Mamita, which is sort of a word for grandma, and then we shortened it even more to Mita. I had to incorporate some of her style of cooking, and a lot of it is comfort food. It's those things that the rice and the empanadas and the arepa and things that are just kind of Colombian soul food. And the menu is purposely encompassing a huge swath. Like, it's Spanish and Latin American. The empanadas are probably our #1 seller, probably our signature dish. So it's a cornmeal crust as opposed to a wheat base, or wheat dough that you get in some other countries. And then they come with this really wonderful sauce called ají or pique, which translates to chili in Spanish. I took some of the inspiration from the Colombian traditional foods and maybe just kind of give it a little tiny twist. I think acid is probably one of those ingredients that a seasoned chef, somebody who's been doing it for a while, will tell you that behind salt, it's probably the next most important item in a dish. The aroma, the brightness, the balance that you get versus that grilled smoky flavor. It's I think what rounds out a dish. Vegetables are very versatile, and I like the texture of a vegetable in different ways sometimes. You take a parsnip and you puree it, you add a little bit of cream, a little bit of butter or olive oil, and it's this really delicious, creamy, almost kind of sauce in its own right? And it's sweet, but it's full of flavor. But then you take that same parsnip and maybe you roast it. And then you take the same parsnip and you slice it real thin and deep fry it. And all of a sudden you have 3 different textures, but also 3 very distinct flavors of that same vegetable. And that's always a good way to highlight an ingredient and showcase it in a few different ways.
Jose Salazar and I have been working together for about 2.5 years. He likes to play with textures and using ingredients in multiple different ways. On the national level, we've been nominated semi-finalists for the James Beard Foundation in the past 2 years. Here locally, we've been named in the top 10 of the Cincinnati magazine. It's a blessing to get a chance to work that closely with someone who is being recognized on a national level.
The team's everything. I think that that they respect me and know that I'm willing to roll up my sleeves and do just about anything it takes to get the job done. I'm really nothing without them, and that sounds cliche, but it's a reality. We just got some beautiful lamb in from a farm in Kentucky, and really are focusing on how can we use every part of the animal in different and interesting ways. I'm thinking I want to do empanadas with the lamb neck. So we're gonna braise the lamb neck and do a really nice baked empanada in a kind of a puff pastry crust. And maybe a sauce with a little bit of ginger and herbs and something that plays off the slight gaminess of the lamb. I love the way our menu's structured. I really do. Now it feels more cohesive. The fits with the overall theme of the restaurant, and the guests have really loved it.
There are very few places where you can have a tapas experience of authentic Spanish cheese, meat, paella. It's one of the only options in the city that's top notch.
I started working in restaurants when I was about 18 because I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I thought, okay, I'll work in restaurants for a little bit until I figure it out. Ultimately, I found myself kind of cooking at home and wanting to explore foods. And again, I didn't grow up eating or going out to experiences gastronomy. So what it just took hold, and I said, all right, this is kind of it. And so it's more of a sense. I don't know that you can really say, I do it for this or that, other than you end up falling in love with it.
And that wraps it up for this edition of Detroit Performs. As always, for more arts and culture, head to DetroitPerforms.org, where you'll find featured videos, blogs, and information on upcoming arts events. Also, check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I'd like to thank Franklin Cider Mill for having me out here today and giving me this fresh cup of crisp cider. Make sure you check out Franklin during Cider Mill's season, guys. Until next Tuesday, get out there and show the world how Detroit performs, y'all. I'm DJ Oliver. Thanks for watching, guys.
Funding for Detroit Performs is provided by the Fred A. and Barbara M. Erb Family Foundation, the Kresge Foundation, the A. Paul and Carol C. Scott Foundation, the Michigan Council for Arts and Cultural Affairs, the National Endowment for the Arts, and by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.